Okay, so new from Yamaha this year is the YZ125X. Last year they came out with a 250X, or is it, I don't know if it's been 2 years, but either way, this 125X is a brand new bike for Yamaha. And when I say brand new, I use that a little bit loosely because it's based on the YZ125 that's been the same for many years, basically since '05. But this bike is, what I will say, is really fun. If you're not used to riding a 125, and if you haven't done it in a long time, which most of us haven't done, it's kind of fun to do. And I think Yamaha's hit it on the head a little bit by this bike. So this bike is around $6,700, and I'm not sure what kind of deals you're going to be able to find on these bikes or not, but it's substantially less money than a KTM, say a 150. That'd be the other kind of off-road race bike, so to speak, out there. Now that bike has hydraulic clutch, electric start. It has a lot more features, let's say, right? TPI, fuel injection. This bike is very simple. Kickstart, very simple bike. The motor's been the same for a long time, which is good and bad. It's proven. It is fairly durable. We don't see a whole lot of problems with these things. If you take good care of them, they last well. And again, it's based on the YZ125 that we've known the same for a long time. A lot of the geometry is all the same. The forks we know and love on this bike, and that's one thing about this X version. The suspension was just amazing, stock form on this little off-road area. And when you compare the specs from this bike to the YZ125 to the YZ125 X model, they're very similar. The X model has a little bit less compression, softer valving in the suspension, but at the same spring rate. So again, really good bike. You get an 18-inch rear wheel, a kickstand, and that's about it. There's not a ton of other things. O-ring chain also for a little bit more off-roady use. You can see my test rider there doesn't pull over when I wave at him, but that's kind of the fun part of doing this kind of stuff. But all those features, it's about $100 more than a regular YZ125. The tank is still the same size as the YZ125. The gears ratio is the same. It is not a wide ratio. So then what is the point of getting this bike versus a YZ125? That's what most people are going to ask. And it doesn't come with handguards or skid plate or anything. There's nothing more trail about it. But what I think this bike is good for is for the guys that are going out to the desert or considering racing GP or Works or GNCC type racing, and they want to have a bike that already comes with a kickstand and an 18-inch rear wheel. They know they're not going to be motocrossing a bunch. This bike is a great option. Here in some trail kind of conditions, as a hill climb, being an X doesn't make this thing just an instant hill climber. It's still a 125, and even though it has a little bit less compression than its motocross counterpart, this bike is still, it's a 125. So climbing hills on this thing, you still got to be riding it wide open. You still got to really, want to get after it. So riding a 125 off-road in kind of these kind of tight trail conditions, like poking around, it's going to take some work. But this is a great bike, I think, for, say, a teenager that's coming up, and you don't want to put them on a 250F and have the added worry about maintenance and so forth of a four-stroke. The maintenance on these YZ125s is a lot less, with swapping a piston out maybe once a year or so, keeping a fresh clutch in it can be pretty simple. So these bikes I think they're going to be a hit myself. I would love if the thing was more updated, of course, and had, some of the features that we'd like to see, like we're used to on other trail bikes. But that's what's nice about this bike. I also wish it was, say $1,000 less money than it is. So this isn't that much, it's more. I think it'd be great if this bike was a little bit less expensive for entry-level guys, and since it's been the same for so long. But otherwise, it is a lot less money than some of the other bikes out there that you would choose from in this market. You got a little shot here of Chubba Dub Dub here riding, just to prove that I actually did ride this thing. I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't be able to actually ride it. It's been so long since I've been riding a 125. I did ride a 125 a little bit in my 30s and really enjoyed them, but then I've gotten away from it so much since four-strokes have come along. I had a good time riding it. I couldn't believe it. Our track is really long that we were riding it on, and I thought I wouldn't be able to do much, and I did end up doing a couple laps, and our laps were over 7 minutes, so pretty happy with it. Did a few little trail sections, and I was really surprised at how much fun I had. I think it's something that I think riding a 125 once a year, or a season. A season is going to be something that I'm probably going to try to do every year from now on. So this YZ125X is a great bike, and I think it's going to be a great bike for a lot of entry-level guys out there.